What up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Are you down with KMFDM? Doing it again, a treat for freaks, do or dare. I love KMFDM. Hey, guess what, guys? We got a great one for you. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and having a great weekend. It has been a bizarre Sunday. Let me tell you, I'm looking at pools of water on my floor. You see, I woke up today and decided to walk downstairs, and I found pools of water in the carpet tiles on my basement floor. Now, I thought to myself, no, it can't be. It must have just been a spill. But no, I walked around my entire basement, and apparently my basement flooded from last night's torrential rains. Now, check this out. I spent the entire day picking up these tiles that were stuck to the floor, shoveling them out my basement window into my yard outside, and having them being sunned out. That was after I had already wet dry vacuum. I tried to suck all the water out, and it was still soaked. Unbelievable. Whole family was pitching. It was ridiculous. So, hopefully you had a little bit of a better, more relaxing Sunday than I did, but I can't complain because it was a learning experience and something for me to gain knowledge from. So, what are we going to talk about today? Let's talk about some big feet, some Bigfoots, some Bigfoot hunters. And no, not the guys on TV, but a real man who's been haunted or attacked or threatened, and his entire family was threatened by a Bigfoot in Alabama. The Irish Star wrote an article on June 10th, releasing a statement stating that a man named Mark from a small town in Alabama has had several encounters with the alleged beast who has been hanging around his family home and even killed his pet bulldog. What the hell is that all about? Why has Bigfoot got to kill your pet bulldog, man? It almost sounds made up. I hope the Irish Star isn't just some sort of propaganda, bat boy type of, Weekly World News type publication. I don't think they are. But, of course, okay, so let's go to the article. And actually, before I jump into the article, I posted something on Facebook, and I put it into I put a UFO post into a Bigfoot chat post group, and one of the guys in the group was like, "Oh, this isn't Bigfoot stuff." Da 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 da. And I was kind of surprised because I thought most people that were into Bigfoot were also into UFO stuff and other paranormal stuff. But this dude was took offense that I had put something UFO related in there. The UFO was actually related to Bigfoot, and he was just not having it. He was like, nope, if it's not Bigfoot directly without UFO stuff, it can't be in here. And I thought, well, isn't that peculiar? Because I've heard so many stories of people talking about Bigfoot being either in a UFO or outside a UFO. And so many people can say that, or have heard, or have postulated that Bigfoot might actually have come here or been placed here by another species, so that they don't have to deal with Bigfoot, so that they can just get rid of them. So that basically Earth would be like an Australian colony where the British would just drop off their criminals right there, and maybe Bigfoot's a criminal, maybe not. Maybe Bigfoot's traveling here from another planet or from another dimension. We really don't know, but to get just, bombarded by this guy, I just thought it was bizarre. So anyway, let's get to the article. So this article states that Bigfoot enthusiasts have criticized a man who has expressed his desire to hunt and kill the mythical creature, claiming it's been terrorizing him and his family. The man, only known as Mark, has reported several chilling encounters with what he believes is a Sasquatch near his family home. He alleges that the elusive beast has been rummaging through his trash on his porch, peering into his house in broad daylight. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to get some nice photography off of that? And even killed their pet bulldog. So Mark, who resides in a small town in Alabama, disclosed that these incidents started in May 2015, and supposedly the beast chased one of his family members. In June, it was seen looking into a family member's window in broad daylight, and by July, it had allegedly killed a family pet. The family pet, I should say. In another encounter, 3 days before the bulldog incident, Mark's story was shared in a Facebook group. Mark was sleeping on a cousin's sofa after celebrating at a family reunion. Trash bags were left on the porch to be collected the next day, and Mark awoke to the frenzy of barking dogs, but tried to go back to sleep. Soon, he heard something that made his blood run cold. One of the dogs let out a yelp as if it had been hurt. He heard footsteps coming towards the front of the door, and Mark sat up and looked at the window. What he saw next would haunt him for years to come. Okay. So just 10 feet away from him was a 10-foot creature sitting on the porch. It was so large that it couldn't stand up straight under the porch roof. Mark watched as the beast rummaged through the trash bags, unfazed by Mark's presence. The story detailed that the supposed beast weighed approximately 800 pounds and had rippling muscles visible beneath its shaggy, dark fur. The creature's arms were thought to be about 4 to 5 feet long, and its fingers as thick as Snickers bars. Could you imagine that? As thick as Snickers bars? I couldn't imagine. Well, like, what would you do? What would you do at this point? Grab your pants, grab your rifle, put up your dukes, try to fight Bigfoot off like that guy whose dog was captured by a kangaroo, and the kangaroo was holding it in a chokehold down in Australia, and the guy punched the kangaroo in the face. Well, I don't know, but let's keep reading here. He says its head was shaped like the back of Darth Vader's helmet. Well, it must have been round then, right? And he added that the animal smelt like cheese gone bad, a common detail in many reported Bigfoot encounters. Either these Bigfoot are struggling and trying to find some Gruyere cheese in the garbage cans, or they just have bad hygiene. You gotta wonder if these guys don't take a nice little bath in the river and reduce the amount of smelliness. Or are they intentionally trying to smell bad to ward off any would-be poachers? So although Mark generally took his shotgun almost everywhere, he happened to be without it that night. And nonetheless, he started thinking about if he had been armed, he might have managed to shoot the creature and consequently provide the world with concrete evidence of Bigfoot's existence. Mark voiced concerns about the creature being almost too comfortable, growing too comfortable in close proximity to human settlements. So basically, he was saying that Bigfoot's just doesn't care. He's roaming right into people's settlements. Look, he's right behind me too. If you're watching the video, he's just hovering behind me. So they say that he contemplated rallying a band of men to hunt down and kill the creature, despite facing opposition from several who admitted to being too frightened. I can imagine there's probably a few people out there that would be too frightened to go out and do that. Although Alabama, I gotta imagine, would be, some tough old birds out there and be willing to go out and try to take out anybody. Bigfoot enthusiasts were swift to weigh in on this wild tale in the comments section, questioning why anybody would want to do harm to the alleged Bigfoot who has probably been here before us. I don't understand why anyone would want to kill Bigfoot, one person said. These poor creatures were probably here before man was. Well, that's all fine and dandy. Anybody can be here before us. The dinosaurs were here before us. Boars were here before us. Crocodiles were here before us. But if they tried to kill one of your family members, you're going to kill them, right? Right. So, doesn't matter if it's Bigfoot. Doesn't matter if it's a glowing red alien, green alien, purple alien, whatever. Another person added their voice to the debate. Please don't kill them. And another person said, bugger off, you stupid fool. They are peekers and will get aggressive if taunted. Peekers? This Bigfoot killed his bulldog, man, right? So he said, well, I'm still going out. I'm still going to try to hunt this thing down, and I'm going to see what I can find. So we're still waiting on him coming up with any real proof of his Bigfoot encounter, other than him stating that if he finds him, he's going to take him out and shoot him and provide the world with real proof of Bigfoot. So I guess in this encounter, you got to ask yourself, would you be willing to kill Bigfoot if it was coming after your family? I would say yes. I would hope most people would say yes. I think that hunting Bigfoot poses its challenges. I think that, you could use dogs to sniff out Bigfoot, right? As long as you had its scent, you could get in some bloodhounds or whatever you want to use and hunt this thing down throughout the trails and tracks of Alabama. I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. That's what the police use. That's what a whole bunch of people use to track down things. Why couldn't they do that? If it had the smell left over, or you could find some of its hair or something like that, you could use it. Maybe they don't have that, so maybe that's limiting them. I don't know, but what I do know is that these guys down in the southern part of America are pretty good at hunting things in general, tracking things in general. So if you needed to track something down, you could probably do it. And the smell probably gives things away. But not only the smell, it's the tracks. The tracks are huge. So you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to track that. But many people would say these things are able to make themselves invisible or transport out of this dimension and just maybe pop into another part of Earth on another location, using some sort of device. To me, so many people say that Bigfoot smells, okay? I haven't heard, well, I take that back. I have heard of different aliens having certain smells, especially reptilians having a sulfur smell. Haven't heard too much about the Greys having too much of a smell. But I have to ask, if it has a smell, wouldn't it be evolved enough to take a bath, to have some personal hygiene, to take care of itself? Or is this being really stuck here on the planet without the luxury of being able to go into Walmart and buying some right guard and, using it for its pits? I don't know. But I think that it is an interesting concept. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, do you think that Bigfoot might be, possibly a time traveler? And I say this because not that they would have some sort of magical technology to do it or have created a magical technology to have done it. But let's say if you watched Outer Range, okay, in Outer Range, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers here. I think they even show it in the trailers, but in Outer Range, it's a show about Wyoming and about basically holes opening up and being kind of like these time portals, and these buffalo come through from like 200 years ago. And I thought to myself, wow, it's possible that maybe Bigfoot is really just from like tens of thousands of years ago, our ancestor, and they just happened through a portal and they got stuck here and they don't know how to get back. So they're just scavenging for food and they're curious about us and they're curious about other people. Randy Kramer states that they are highly psionic and they're actually from Earth, that they're able to even, utilize their psionic capabilities to do telekinesis and maneuver around and teleport in and out of areas. I think that's an interesting idea, but I think that it's possible. It's definitely possible these guys could be teleporters, time travelers, and teleporting through time. I've heard other stories where an individual was hiking and backpacking, and he got kidnapped by one, and he was in his sleeping bag, and the Bigfoot took him while he was in his sleeping bag. a few miles to his campground, to the Bigfoot's camp, and he was stuck there with the whole family of Big Feet, and they shared food, they shared drink. He shared some of his stash that he had in his sleeping bag, and then he was able to finally escape after giving him a little bit of tobacco. And gave him a little tobacco and made him real woozy, and he wasn't prepared for that, and he got sick or whatever, and this guy was able to escape. So if they have tribes here, maybe they are terrestrial, or have become terrestrial over some time. I think it's interesting to think about Bigfoot as being an extraterrestrial as well, or an interdimensional. There's lots of options here. But when it comes to a creature terrorizing and Bigfoot being an aggressor, there are reports of that. I have seen shows where they've had witnesses on these shows, and they've stated that these Bigfoot will be 8 to 9 to 10 feet tall, black, banging into their car as they're driving 35 miles an hour, and the Bigfoot's able to keep up with them. And this happened up in Washington State, in the Pacific Northwest, and Oregon as well. And then we hear about Bigfoot down in Alabama. I mean, it's really interesting to hear Bigfoot being all over. But I think when it comes to Bigfoot being the aggressor, I think it's probably in the minority. I think that they may have to survive. They may have to do some aggressive type things in order to survive, depending on what their situation is. I mean, it's the same thing with humans. In some situations, we have to do aggressive things in order to stay alive. And they might have to do the same thing. And it might seem like aggression, but it's really just their way of staying alive. And that's all they know how to do. So that's something to keep in mind, too. When it comes to cows, we're the aggressor. We're killing them off just to survive. Well, I mean, theoretically survive, right? When it comes to chickens, we're the aggressor. So anything that's bigger than us, we're going to be like, it's big and scary. Well, yeah, it is. It could probably kill you easily. And have you as some beef jerky for later on. Anywho, interesting story. Wanted to see what you guys thought. I'm going to bring up some other great ones coming up here for you. So I'm going to get right on it. I hope you guys are having a great night, taking care of yourselves, staying positive, staying in light. Following through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams, and as always, continue to question the universe around you. I'm going to try to keep the ads minimal or commercial free. Maybe just a couple ads here and there to appease the Spotify gods, because they want us to have a few ads per episode. So anyway, I hope you guys take care of yourselves physically, spiritually, emotionally. Follow through on your hobbies and goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Until next time, guys, take care. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. And Lockdown Universe out. Peace.